Hello everybody, welcome. I'm Zoyanos, welcome. So in this reading we'll provide you, this is for a Sagittarius reading for May 3rd to May 13th of 2025. So basically in this whole entire reading, I just want to provide you all that this is going to be a very significant reading on how it is, knowing that it's going to be very interesting indeed, because that's the way it kind of looks, and that's how it kind of is at the moment. But this is the way it seems to be in that way, right? We have to understand about acknowledging what's going on in our own circumstances, and the way how this is going to be in that way. Right? We have to do what we are told to do to understand about how we can, maybe investigate. I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? We have to understand about how we can do it, and when we're another, we have to do what we are told to do. We have to understand, our own decencies, our own self-respect. But that's the way it goes, right? We have to understand about what's going on in this way. We have to believe that. We have to understand about how we can, overall about what's going on in our own circumstances, right? We have to do what we're told to do, right? We have to do what we can, right? We have to understand about how we can believe it in the ways of how we can control things. That's the way it kind of goes. So in this wonderful reading, I just want to say that it's going to be a very interesting reading indeed, and I hope you all like it. Please give it a like, please give it a comment, and this is the way it seems to be. So this is the way of how it goes, and one way or another, and this is the way it seems to be, and this is the way it kind of concludes. This is the way it kind of goes in one way or another, and this is how it seems to be. So here we go. So in this reading, we have to provide but what's going on. We have the Emperor's upright, we have structure, we have the Seven of Wands, so right there's resilience, 8 Wands, so right there's speed, 7 Pentacles reverse, you already have a career, the 7 Cups, so right there's a delusion here, 9 Pentacles reverse, you're not having any trust, because you're not getting along. I don't know why, but you need to understand about how you can prove it in the accessibility of how it seems to be in that way. And you're thinking, well, this is the way it goes, this is the way it happens, I need to know what's going on from the inside out situation. That's the way it kind of concludes. But in one way or another, we have to understand about how we can improve ourselves wisely to get the better of it, to get our own interactions of how we are feeling. The way of how this is, because the way of how it seems to be, we have to acknowledge this in the way of how these readings are, right? Because that's how it seems to be, right? So let's see what's going on. So I'm gonna go from the way of this direction is, because I'm going to do from a diagonal. So I'm gonna go from the 10 of Cups all the way to the Emperor, and then that's how it is. Okay, so the Death card reversed, followed by the Ace of Wands reversed, followed by the Justice reversed, followed by the Page of Cups is upright. Yeah, because you want loyalty, you want to have your own way, because that's the way it kind of goes. The Justice reverse, you're not telling the truth. I don't know why, but you have to angle it correctly. You have to do exactly what you're doing, of how it is. You're not trying to spread lies. You're not trying to impose about that situation. But the way of how this is, you have to have your own guarantees about knowing what to do in that way. We have to believe about how we can do it in one way or another. So you could be focusing on another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, and that's the way it is, but this is the way it seems to be. Alright, Sagittarius, you have to get along to understand this about how it is. If you're not getting along, what's the point? Right, that's the way it seems to be. You need to understand that of how you're going to control your feelings or whatever it is, because you have to know that what it seems to be. This is like a play-by-play situation, but you have to understand about how you can do it in one or another. Alright? What's the 7 of Wands all the way to the 10 Pentacles? Page of Wands reversed, 9 of Wands reversed, the 10 of Cups reversed, the King of Pentacles is upright, alright, and we have the Strength card is upright, so there's bravery. Yeah, that's the way it kind of concludes, because the 10 of Cups reversed, there's incompletion, 9 of Wands reversed, there's no fear, but that's the way it goes. The King of Pentacles is upright, there's security. The way of how this is, right? This is the way of how intense about the situation. You could be looking for money. Maybe you're going to be looking about what's going on that way. Because you need to understand that, right? The way of how this is, the way of how you can occur, the way of how this is, right? This is like a well-known balance, because if you like it or not, you have to choose what you're going to do, right? You're going to have your own self-respect, have your own expressions, have your own feelings, the way of how it is, because you need to understand that. The way how this is, the way how you can experience what's going on that way, you have to get yourself involved of what you're going to be doing in one way or another. So from this Page of Wands all the way to the Knight of Pentacles, the Judgment reversed, we have Fortune reversed, the Knight of Wands is upright, followed the King of Cups reversed, followed the Ten of Wands is upright, followed the Two of Cups is upright, followed the Queen of Pentacles is upright. Yeah, because you're feeling like everything seems to be fine in one way or another. And that Wands represents immaturity, because someone's being immature. That's the way it goes. You have, the Ten of Wands is upright. It represents burdens. That's the way it goes. The Two of Cups is upright. There's relationships or friendships, whatever it seems to be, but that's how it seems to be in that dialogue. That's how it looks like. Wheel of Fortune reversed, you're having bad luck on your side. That's the way it goes, because things are not going as planned. Things are not going your way. That's why you seem to be in that way, because you have to focus about what's going on in that way, because this is like peer pressure, or what's going on, right? You have to understand that. It's like, why I am acting like immature, why I'm acting like this, because things are not going your way, That's why it seems to be in that way, right? Because that's the way it kind of imposes about that. So tell me something, what's in the middle of this situation? The Ace of Cups is upright, yeah, because you're trying to look for prosperity. Maybe you're going to look for money. Maybe you're going to look on how things are. You have to, have what it takes about that, beyond about that point. That's why it seems to be in that way. What's happening with this Ace of Cups? The Sun card is upright. Follow the Hermit reversed. Follow the Magician reversed. Follow the Star is upright. Yeah, because you're going to wish upon of something, of how it is, like wish upon a star. You're in positivity. You're going to stay positive as much as you can. That's way kind of in how you can understand about perplexed of how it seems to be in that way, right? Now, what's happening on the middle to the right side? The Tower is upright. Follow the Tower reversed. Follow the Hangman is upright. Yeah, because there's restrictions that you're going through. When you have restrictions, you're thinking, well, why I'm being restricted? Why I can't do this? Why I can't do that? Because you have to understand that. You have to, how it seems to be. You're not trying to let it go in that way. You're trying to understand about how I can do it in one way or another. You need to shift shape of how you're feeling in the way of how it seems to be. That's why it seems to be. That's why this is going to be very interesting indeed, right? That's how it kind of, how it is, right? So, let's see what the universe is saying here. So I'm going to go from the middle to the left, middle to the right. So Ace of Pentacles here is growth. Two of Swords here is you already know what direction you're going to take. The Ace of Swords here is there's a misunderstanding here. The King of Pentacles here is there's no security. Ten of Cups here is there's no incompletion. The Empress upright, there's no nourishment. Yeah, that's the way kind of how it is. Because you're trying to get what you want, you're trying to say about what's going on that way, you're trying to have your own way of saying, alright, well, this is the way it goes, this is how it seems to be, why I'm having a misunderstanding here, why I'm not exactly what I'm doing, because that's the way it goes, right? You're trying to impress about what's going to try to, you're trying to impress the dress, or dress to impress, whatever it is, but you know what I mean. You're trying to understand that, how you can understand it in one way or another, because that's the way it goes. You have to believe about what it takes beyond about that comparison, comparing two things at once, compare and contrast, two things at once, right? You need to understand that, because in one or another you need to say, alright, well, I know what to do, I got this, I know what I'm going to be doing. That's why it seems to be, because you need to understand that, because in that particular criteria, that's what it seems to be. What's happening between the middle and the right side? Page of Swords is upright, there's education. Ace of Wands is upright, there's new beginnings. The Seven of Swords here is there's no deceit. The Knight of Wands here is there's no maturity. The Emperor here is there's no structure. 10 Wands reverse, there's no burdens, but the King of Cups to celebrate their support. That's the way it goes in that way, because you need to understand that, right? If you're going to have new beginnings, or you're going to have education, or you're going to have support, you have to have that dialogue. That's the way it seems to be. You could be dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You could deal with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. You could deal with a Gemini, Aquarius. You have all that, right? You have the decency about what's going on in that way, and you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to head back. I need, do what I can to understand that, to how it seems to be in that way. What's in the middle of this situation? The 8 Wands reverse, there's no speed. 3 Pentacles, sorry, there's excitement. Yeah, that's the way it kind of occurs. Because in one way or another, you need to understand about how you can do it. In one way or another, you have to give it time. You have to know how you can play the rules, or whatever it is. That's the way it seems to be in one way or another. So overall, at the back of the card, so let's see, so you have the Queen of Cups is upright. So you have basically empathy. Two sides of the story here. One makes sense, one doesn't make sense. Chariot reverse, you have no progress, but the Knight of Swords is upright because there's drama here. That's the way it kind of occurs. What's at the back of this one? Tower is upright, so there's transformation. Just as upright, you're telling the truth. There is upright, you're going to have decisions. That's the way it kind of clues of that. Let's see what's happening over here. We have the Lovers is upright. You're going to make decisions. So let's see. So you're going to make decisions. The Chariot reverse, there's no progress, but the Magician is upright. They're going to have skill. The Minute is upright. There's misrepresentations here, and the Judgment is upright. You're going to take action. That's the way it kind of clues for that. Let's see at the bottom of this one here. So yeah, the King of Swords upright because you're going to have knowledge. The Hierophant reverse, you're not going to have any guidance. In reverse, there's no misrepresentations here. But 2 Pentacles upright, you're balancing two things at once. That's the way it kind of concludes for that. And last but not least, at the bottom of this one, we have the 7 Pentacles reverse. You already have a career. The Page of Wands reverse, there's no invention. By the Page of Pentacles upright, there's prospects. Yes. The 9 of Cups upright, there's fulfillment. Yes. The Ace of Cups reverse is no satisfaction. But the 6 Pentacles upright, there is kindness. That's the way it kind of concludes for this whole entire reading, right? It makes sense, and when it does, you have to how you can do what you can, because you have to understand, right? You have to try to do what you can see in one way or another. You need to understand that how you can believe in one way or another, and trying to understand about how it's going to occur, because the way of how this is, right? That's the way it kind of is at the moment. So, I'm going to read you Enchanted Mapp. So let's see what's happening. Alright. So here I'm going to read you, and this is going to be the card. It says number 53, reverse, listening. So it's going to be reversed this time. So let's see what's going on for you, Sagittarius. So it says for reverse, for listening, it says, are you feeling that you're not being heard, that perhaps your needs aren't valid, that your song will go unsung? Now is the time to bring your message to the world. Speak up. It's time for your voice to resound throughout your sphere of influence. This is a moment to say what you mean and ask for what you want. In reverse position, listening has another meaning too. It also asks you if you're refusing to listen to someone else, preferring to hear what you want instead of what's being said. This is the time to get out of denial. Reverse. This card always brings freedom if you heed its advice. So basically, if you're not you know not not listening to someone else, or you're not feeling confident or whatever, it's basically you're trying to refuse the situation. You're trying to know what it takes. You need to understand about what's going on through this whole entire dialogue. That's why it seems to be that, right? Because you have to give it time. You have to give your own results of paying attention to what you're going to expect. That's the way it seems to be, because in these readings you have to pay attention to what's going on, right? That's the way it kind of in how it is, right? That's why it seems to be that. And when you understand that, that's the way it seems to be involved. So before I let you all go, try to pay attention about this whole entire reading, because you have to understand that, because this is the way it kind of occurs. And when it is, you have to pay attention to it. That's why it seems to be. That's why it needs to be understanding, because that's how it is, right? That's why it seems to be that. So I hope you all like this video. Please give it a like. Please give it a comment, because it's the way it seems to be, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day to all, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now, really, and bye.